Welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam. It is Thursday, which means last night there were 2 new TV shows that came out. We watched both of them. I'm not going to do both in one episode because that would shortchange both. So I'm going to do Moon Knight right now and The Dropout either today or tonight or tomorrow. I don't know which yet. I have not yet decided which I'm going to do when, because we also have the Flash new episode that goes on the, today? On the CW Seed, or the CW app, whatever the proper verbiage is for that. And then there's also, what was the other one? Morbius tonight. Maybe I'll just do The Dropout Saturday, and Saturday we still have The Contractor. Yeah, you know what, we'll do that. We'll do, we'll do The Dropout on Saturday, and then we'll do, tomorrow we'll do The Flash. So we can get it as close to the release date as possible, considering it airs on Wednesday. So, we'll do that. Which brings us to today's topic, Moon Knight. Which a few days ago, I did a review of the first 4 episodes without spoilers, and we're going to go a little bit more in depth on episode 1 today, as is the case when we do new releases from TV shows. So, we spent a lot of time with Stephen Grant in this episode. I'm not 100% thrilled about that aspect of it. It's one of those things where, his fake British accent bothered me. The idea of, Oscar Isaac doing that fake British accent, for an entire episode kind of annoyed me. And then anytime we get to see Mark Spector, it's cool. And I think that what this episode does that is really kind of cool is the time loss aspect of it. And they portray time loss in a really interesting and unique way. And I think that, that's an important part of this. If we're going to lay the groundwork, because this is a 6-episode miniseries, if we're going to lay the groundwork that Stephen Grant, Mark Spector, it's a dissociative identity disorder, and when that happens, the identity that, we're following just goes away for a little bit, then someone else takes over the body. It's fairly accurate in that regard, and I think that this show does that well, and I think had this show not done that well, it could have been hard, especially if it went right in and was like, okay, and here is Mark Spector, and he has dissociative identity disorder, and he's doing, X, Y, and Z, and the way they're doing it is interesting, to say the least. What else is there with this? I do really like the way that, Khonshu is, there as a voice in his head, and less, less there is some physical, iteration. There is a physical iteration of Khonshu, I believe, that was Khonshu that we saw, when he was on the bus and he looks at the window and he sees that, but it's done in such a way that it could, he thinks he's seeing things, and I think that the entire, I said in the review that there's too much time spent with, is he Mark Spector, what's going on? On a second viewing, I think that was a misguided statement. I think that, they kind of handle it well. And it's one of those things where it's when you're watching it the first time and you're like, okay, well, I'm watching a show called Moon Knight, and I know that, this is going to be the show, and this is what's going to be happening, and we're going to be fighting this. when that happens, I think that's kind of, like, because of that, I think that's kind of a, like, that might have been what was causing that feeling for me. But it stands alone really well. Ethan Hawke, I think, is doing a great job as kind of a subdued religious zealot. Arthur Harrow. Like, he's kind of playing like an evangelist who is, like, what's it called? Who is, more there to, what's what I'm looking for here? He's not there to, like, you know, be a, what's it called? Like, like, he's not gonna scream and all of that. He's just like, look, I want to bring Amit back. And he tells the story of why he wants to bring Amit back, and that's all laid out. And you know what? It's great. We had a good, maybe 5 minutes of exposition explaining how that, like, what caused that, and why he's doing what he's doing, and it's like, alright, out of the way, we can move on. Like, we don't need to worry about, you know, expositing this throughout the rest of the show. It is done, it is laid out, it is explained, we understand it all. We don't need to go too much further with this to explain it. And the whole thing is, you know, Amit, is, you know, she's the goddess of judgment. And what she wants to do is she wants to prejudge people. Like, she sees what's going on. She sees the evil in people's hearts before they even commit it. And she wants to be like, okay, well, I see what people are doing, and before bad things happen, I can stop it by prejudging people. Like, that's what she wants to do. And because of that, the other gods locked her away and threw her in god jail, I guess. So Arthur Harrow wants to bring her back, free her, so that way she has the ability to do what her original plan was and what she originally wanted to do. Which feels a little Civil War 2-y for me. The idea, or, you know, not even, if we don't want to go comics, we can go Captain America, the Winter Soldier. It's the same kind of conflict as that, where it's like, you know, he is, like, the conflict is, if they think someone will commit a crime. Now, in this case, it's a little more definitive than an algorithm that, you know, is picking out people based on how they're arrested to Hydra. This is a god who can pick out but again, who like, what makes someone evil in that case? Like, the idea of a god doing that, you know, it does kind of reflect a little. It is kind of, you know, rhyme, to use a phrase from George Lucas. It does kind of rhyme a little with the Winter Soldier, where it's the same kind of thing, where it's like, look, we want to do X, Y, and Z. We want to, you know, save the world by eliminating threats before they happen. So instead of a helicarrier, he wants to bring this god who will prejudge people based on what they will do in the future. I mean, really, it is more like, you know, Civil War 2, where, you know, Arthur Harrow is more Carol to Moon Knight and Khonshu's, what's it called? To Moon Knight and Khonshu's, Iron Man. Where it's pretty obvious that one side that's, no, I think it was flipped. Iron Man was the one who wanted to use, what's his name? What the fuck was the name of that character? Ulysses, maybe? He has some fucking dumbass name. It was an Inhuman who could see the future. And could see bad things before they happen, so they wanted to arrest. I think it was Iron Man who wanted to arrest people, and Carol was like, no, you can't do that, because they didn't commit a crime yet. And that kind of formed the philosophical issue behind Civil War II, and that's kind of what this feels like a little bit, where it's this philosophical issue of, if we know that something is going to happen and a crime has not been committed yet, can we act? Can we act to stop the crime before it is committed? Is that something we can do? Or is that, crossing a line? Because at that point that we are now stepping out to do this, there hasn't been a crime yet. Because there hasn't been a crime yet, there is there is nothing to stop. There's a very good chance the entire back, 9 of this episode is not going to be captured. So, like I said, a call in the middle of recording, these motherfuckers decide to call me at the worst possible times. So, what else is that I wanted to address? Yeah, the voice has grown on me a little bit. I still am not thrilled about it, and I still would prefer to not have, what's it called? I still would prefer to not have as much Stephen Grant as we have, and eventually go to full Mark Spector, but, whatever. I mean, and it's one of those things where it's like, it's not like it's two different actors playing the character, where it's like Oscar Isaac. Where it's like Oscar Isaac or someone else playing Oscar Isaac. Like, it's the same kind of person. It's one of those things where it's like, if we're going to be doing this anyway, like, just do it the right way. Like just do it. Like, commit, kind of, I guess, would be the right phrasing. And just do Mark Spector. Like, don't do this nonsense going back and forth between the two. And then it's like, where it's like, oh, it's just kind of annoying is what it is, more than anything else. Whereas if they were to just do Mark Spector, it would be less annoying, because it's just Oscar Isaac doing Oscar Isaac's voice. Like, there's nothing new there. That's just Oscar Isaac's voice. Yeah, I mean, it's an entertaining show, and like, the way they handle the time loss and all of that is pretty cool, and I think that makes it kind of, entertaining and fun and interesting to watch and all of that kind of cool stuff. But I don't think that necessarily, I think mileage will vary on it, because there is a lot of, you need to kind of buy into the world in a way that look, at the same time, it's like, what was the other show? WandaVision, where it's like, you kind of have to not buy into the world, but you have to be like, what's what I'm here for here? You have to be like willing to accept a lot of nonsense that really is not entirely entertaining to get to the good stuff. And I think that's kind of a problem. Like, you have to sit through a lot in WandaVision to get to the meat and potatoes of the show. You don't have, like, here it's less of that, where it's like, at least what's happening here is kind of interesting, and within the confines of itself, self-contained. It is definitely the strongest opening of any of the Marvel shows, I think. More so that, like, Loki, I think, we just had a very boring first episode. What was the other one? It was Loki. There was WandaVision, the first episode, just a sitcom pilot, and it's like, okay, cool. There was, who was the other one? Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I think, was very light, too. It was very action-oriented. Like, it felt the most like a movie first act, but it doesn't, like, it was a little, it didn't really get into the real, plot of what we were going to be watching week in, week out. And then Hawkeye, I just didn't like Hawkeye that much. And What If was a fiasco. So we'll wrap up there for today. Tonight we have Morbius, the Living Vampire, the latest movie from Sony in the universe of Spider-adjacent characters. Then there is, what was the other one? The Dropout's going to be on Saturday, and tomorrow morning we're going to have The Flash, the next episode, because I'm going to watch that tonight. So until then, have a great rest of your week.